Tally-ho, collectors! Tally-ho is an English huntsman's cry for the hounds when he sights a fox. And so this is kind of a rare car these days. It's a Ford RS200. And obviously this is from the Hot Wheels car culture collection here. I like it because it's one of the last of the Group B race cars before these cars were banned at the end of 1986. So Ford actually made these in the UK, and there are about 200 of them made available to the public. And that was because the racing regulations dictated that you needed to sell 200 to the public in order to go racing with this chassis. It was a purpose-built race car by Ford, whereas all the other competing cars from like Lancia or Peugeot or Audi, they were all based off regular production cars. But Ford, I guess, had failed in making the Escort a really competitive car, so they just made one from scratch, and that's this RS200. Okay, let's get into the scale of this thing. The internet is telling me this car is 3,988 millimeters in length. So if I measure the length of this model, 65.1 or so. It's a little big. It's around 161, 162 scale. So, just for comparison actually, I do have a 164 scale this car this would have been competing with at the time. This is a Lancia Delta S4 from 1986. And let's take a look here at the overall height. It doesn't actually look that far, well, no, it definitely looks a bit large. So, it seems like the real RS200 is a smaller car than a Lancia. Okay, but what really throws it off is just the width of this thing. It just doesn't seem right. But yeah, as we measured, it's a 161 scale. Okay. So, some other stats I found out about this car. There's a 1.8 liter inline cylinder 4 that's turbocharged. And it's actually mid-mounted, you know, mid-rear. It's back here. And then it's an all-wheel drive car, as most of the cars of this time period were. And in race trim, it was making 450 horsepower. But the 200 that were sold for public consumption were around 250 horsepower. Unfortunately, this was not a really successful race car. It was simply underpowered. It handled really well, I guess, because it was designed by some F1 engineers. But its power to weight ratio just wasn't coming close to the Peugeot or the Lancia. So it just didn't do well. The best it ever did was a third place finish in one of the rallies. So it's interesting. The body of this car and the real one is made of plastic and fiberglass, and it was designed by the Ghia house of design. So if you think of like the Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, that company. And a gentleman named Filippo Sapino gets credit for designing the bodywork of this. And then the actual fiberglass bodies are made by a company called Reliant. I don't know anything about them. I'm just getting this off the internet. So another weird technical feature is, since the motor was in the back and it was all-wheel drive, the drivetrain actually sent power to the front wheels first because they put the transmission up front for better weight distribution, and then it also then sent the power back as well. So it was just a weird, layout. Although I didn't actually look up schematics of how it was laid out, but a couple of parts were shared with the Ford Sierra, like the windscreen. It had some cut-down doors, and then the tail lamps apparently were from the Sierra as well. Okay, so that's what I found out about this car. And although it was never really successful as a race car, I think it's a cool-looking road car. Anyways, it definitely looks cool just because it's a mid-engine, and it's just a little bit different, from your typical Fords. It looks like a rally car for sure, since that's what it was designed to do. Random note, in 1986, these powerhouses were banned because there were some collisions between cars and spectators, and then later on, that car I showed you previously, driven by Henry Toivonen, he died, crashing, I guess, in maybe that Lancia. So anyways, they banned all these super-powered race cars. And now pretty much all modern rally cars are only like 300 horsepower or so. Okay, so I've just been looking at this model as I've been talking, and it's pretty nice. I mean, we'll start with the front view. So we got the Ford badge here, and then I love how Hot Wheels does these three-dimensional looking prints. I mean, it's two-dimensional, but it looks three-dimensional because they have all these graphics. So it's pretty neat. It's Really nice that they got the orange paint into this deep crevice as well as the black in that vent there, and this vent's pretty deep too, yet there's black paint in there. So paint, and then this tiny line here also has black paint. And you know what, that's actually molded in. I think that's actually like a little crevice if I'm not mistaken, so that's pretty neat. And then we got some black paint up in this vent, so that's pretty good. We got some all this printing is really nice because they're not decals, you know, they're tampo prints, so they should last for a long time. The wheels, they're not accurate, so I'm gonna make my own wheels. I think I'll the real car has much thicker tires, but I kind of like these rubber tires, so I think I'll preserve the rubber tires and just make oversized wheels of the real car. And actually, let's just get back to the well, I was going to show a picture of it. Well, I guess I might as well. Let's just take a look at the rear view with the Hot Wheels here. So you can clearly see the wheels are quite different. You know, there's much many spokes. But I think, you know, detail-wise, Hot Wheels did a good job again. So all the printing, it's pretty close. There might have been other cars with the Ford logo right there. This one doesn't have it. But anyways, looks pretty good. Okay, so back to the model here. This blue thing, I guess, you know, there's supposed to be some vents leading into the engine bay, so those would probably be black on the real car. I think a little black Sharpie will take care of that pretty easily, right there and there. Typical Hot Wheels interior, it seems. You know, just black molding, not the greatest detail, but these aren't the really expensive models either, so I guess it's alright. I think some of the black paint would be helpful there as well. I think those are air intakes as well. Okay, it is nice that there's a black deep paint here on the door handle there, because the door handle on the real car is black, so that's good. Although on the real one it does stick out, whereas this is actually recessed, so it's kind of the opposite. Okay, these actually are pretty cool wheels. It's just that I hate these exposed axles. Okay, so yeah, there's some engine detail there. And then the back here is printed nicely. RS200, Ford badge. The lights look pretty good. The third brake light here. And I think these must be vents from the engine bay. At first I thought they were vents under the wing, but I think actually this wing is solid like that. And these are air vents extracting hot air from in there. I believe that's my logical deduction, but who knows if I'm really deducting that properly. Okay, so when was this thing copyrighted? 2019. Wow, I didn't know it was such a recent model. I just kind of assumed this was sold a long time ago, but I guess it's fairly new. Okay, so pretty cool. It's a great model for sure. I'm gonna have to find some photos of the real wheels here, and give me a sec, I'll be back. Okay, and so I'm back with these wheels here. I'll compare it to the photo later, but you'll see there is a brake system in there, but it's part of the same plastic, so the caliper will spin with the wheel. I didn't feel like making a separate brake system because you can't really keep the brakes from spinning anyways with the base of this particular model, right? There's no tab to lock it in place. I did add a little silver paint to that exhaust tip. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I had the pen out anyway. So let's compare it to the real car here. So, you know, the car being from the mid-80s, it has much higher profile rubber on its on the wheels here, the tires themselves. But for some reason, you know, Hot Wheels chose to put these super low profile tires on, which is a shame because, you know, it's not as accurate as that photograph. But, you know, the wheels are similar to that. It's just I'm forced to use the original tires. So, okay, so that's what happened there. I did take some black Sharpie, and I added here in the back. It's supposed to be black there. There's a little Sharpie in the line up top of that wing, and then those vents I was talking about earlier, the vents there and the vents behind the door window there. So, but that's about it. It wasn't too difficult, I guess. So in summary, again, it's a great model. It's just, you know, it's not 1/64 scale, but I find the execution of this one to be a little bit better than the other premium ones. The you know, blue striping here in particular is some of the better printing I've seen from Hot Wheels. Okay guys, well I appreciate you watching again, so take care of yourself.